There's no shame in being super fit. There's no shame in being on your way to being fit.
Yeah.
There's no shame in not starting yet.
Yeah.
You know?
Hey, welcome to another great episode of the Gym Owners Growth Zone podcast, the show designed to help gym owners improve and grow their businesses. I'm your host, Andres Escobar, and I'm so grateful to have you join us today. Today, we have Alexis Perkins-Powell. Alexis entered the fitness industry in 2009, and since then, she's taught masterclasses globally, co-produced the show Fusion Fitness, acquired Body by Alexis Studio, and founded and runs Chairone Fitness. By the way, Chairone Fitness aims to enable activity for those with physical limitations and has expanded to helping assisted living communities worldwide. If this is your first time listening to the show, please consider subscribing to the podcast and share this episode with someone whom you think will enjoy it. As we dive into the episode, listen to how she overcame imposter syndrome with validation from friends. All right, welcome back to the Gym Owners Growth Zone podcast. Today I have Alexis. Thank you for joining us, Alexis. I appreciate you taking the time to share with us your journey as a gym owner and where you are right now. By the way, what brings you here? How did you get here? Tell us a little bit about your story.
Well, long story short, I've been in the fitness industry since 2009, and I have had the most beautiful journey of dibbling and dabbling in so many different avenues that the wellness industry brings. So, I was a group exercise instructor, taught Zumba, I've hosted fitness events, I've taught master classes around the world, I owned a brick and mortar, I did personal training as well, produced and was the lead instructor for a fitness television program, then went into business consulting for fitness professionals, then went to education as far as Chairone Fitness is concerned to certify others to teach that program, and then diversified with the type of clients I had from the very healthy and fit all the way up to seniors and the obese. So it's just been a fun ride, just kind of doing a little bit of this and a little bit of that, all within the fitness industry. Even the one random time I competed, but I won't do that again because I was very hungry.
Oh my goodness. No, it's not just a little bit of this, a little bit of that. It's a little bit of everything. And
Yeah.
I know the audience is going to catch what you're throwing, what you're putting down, right? They're gonna pick up what you're putting down. That's the right term. So that's awesome. I really appreciate that. If you guys caught that, Chair1 Fitness is Alexa's. That's her baby, and so she's helping a lot of people get fit that can't get out of a chair, right? Or that I want to tell me a little bit about that. I just love to just understand
Sure.
that. Sure.
Well, basically, in a nutshell, for those who are able-bodied, when you go into a gym and you think, "What options do I have?" You have yoga, spin, body pump, body combat, Zumba. You can do things with the Bosu ball. You can do warrior rhythm. You can do so many things. Commit, mix fit, all of the above. You can just go in there and have a good old time, right? But if somebody has complications standing, what options do they have?
Oh,
Not very many. And just because somebody has complications standing doesn't mean they don't deserve fun wellness options too. And that's where we come into play by offering two different things. One, where people can get certified to teach Chair1 Fitness, and then it opens up a whole new world of opportunities for
right.
instructors and personal trainers. And then also the end users, we have our 30-minute workouts on the app because no matter how many instructors we certified, we realize there's a whole demographic that can't leave their house, whether they're autoimmune compromised, they have complications with transportation. So we said, well, you know what? Let's go ahead and develop the app so they can access fun 30-minute workouts right in the comfort of their own home. So we do a little bit of both.
That's great. That's great. And that's if you want to actually expand your reach in your local market. I mean, this is a great opportunity, right? Especially if you
Yeah.
have the older community that can't get out of the chair, right?
Oh,
Or
yes.
I mean, it's not just for the older community. It's actually, maybe somebody that has some kind of handicap,
Mm-hmm.
and so this is great. This is great. Thanks for sharing that. Well, awesome. Listen, I'm going to allow you to to tell us your story a little bit more, but we really like to jump into the the nitty gritty here with a roller coaster ride. And so that roller coaster ride is life. And so, Alexis, in life, got ups and downs, lefts and rights. Same thing with roller coasters. And so, what has been your guardrails, your track that helps you stay on going, right? It's interesting to me. I just realized what gait means, and it's like it's the track of your foot, right? And so
Yeah.
so it's like I should change that to what's your gait? What is your gait, right? And so what is the thing that helps you accomplish your goals? It keeps you on track.
Well, I'll say I'm not scared to try new things. I'm not scared to be wrong. I'm not scared to make mistakes. And I'm not scared to fail. And I think that's probably the best thing because you learn so much when you try it. Many of us stay reserved and we want to, it's important to think before you do, but there has to be a moment where you get into action mode. And so, as far as like different situations where that happened, I can say all throughout my fitness career, I remember I had gone to the Zumba convention, and this guy who only spoke Spanish was telling me about, well, through translation, was telling me about Zumba master classes. And then, long story short, fast forward, I hosted a class here, had never done it before. They were like, "Will you host me and pay my way to come there?" I said, "What? You want me to pay you to come here?" And I talked to my friends, and I said, "I think we should try it." It turned out to be a beautiful event. I was just being the hostess. Well, then he came to my class and he was like, "Oh, your class is like a mini master class. You should come to France." I was like, "Huh?" So I didn't really believe it, but through my friends translating for me, next thing you know, I agreed to it. And then I saw this flyer that was my face and his face written all in French that Alexis Perkins was coming to France for masterclass. And my parents and my friends were like, "You are a stone cold nut. You mean to tell me that you're going to go to France with a guy who only speaks Spanish to go teach master classes?" I said, "Yeah." I was like, God said I'd be okay. But then that opened up a whole new world. I went and it was awesome. But it just shows you so much exploring different cultures and things like that. Even some of the things they were doing in Europe, like for their individual classes, like charging per person instead of a monthly rate, having party lights up instead of your basic gym studio. I got to watch the setup. Even through language barriers, I got to see and just be immersed in it. So when I came back home, I said, "You know what? I wonder if I did that, because at the gym I'm only making $18 a class. But if I had my own studio, what if I flipped it?" I just took the whole concept from Europe and it worked. And so we ended up with the whole party vibe, but that was by being a little bit fearless, a little bit crazy, and jumping in. But I learned a lot about business while being over there, not through them telling me about business, but just through immersing myself in different situations. And that's happened time and time again. I could keep going on that all day. So I'll just hush with that one example.
Well, I love the story. I really do. But I really want you to unpack things that you do in your life that help you stay on track and the guardrails that help you move forward in your goals. And that's a great goal, like getting out there and just
Mhm.
experiencing new things. Like tell me something that helps you, keep going in the right direction, if you could.
Well, I look at a lot of others for inspiration.
Hmm.
Um, and I have this weird theory. I'm like, well, okay, if you think about your parents, you're a lot like them, right? You look like them. You might have a
Hmm.
few of their mannerisms. That's your
Yeah.
parent. So, I'm a Christian. So, therefore, I'm like, well, if I'm designed by God, and if God made that person over there who's very successful at what they do, that means I'm technically qualified to be equally as successful because
Right.
I was designed by the same higher power. So, how far do I want to go? How far do I want to exceed? Because the answer is it possible? Yes. They weren't designed any better than me. I just need to figure it out. So it comes from being bold enough to ask a lot of questions, to put it out there what you want. Because even when it came down to starting Chairone Fitness, I had gotten it to the point where I just wanted to see if it would be an approved course. I thought it was good, but I wanted that confidence. So when you say, "What do you do?" I
Yeah.
first will notice whatever feeling is holding me back. So I
Mm.
had written out the manual. I thought it was great. But what was holding me back was imposter syndrome. So I was like, what if it's not great? Well, then figure it out. Is it great? So I sent it to about five of my friends who specialized in different things: curriculum. One was a doctor of physical therapy. One had been in the fitness industry for over 20 years. And I said, can you review this for me? They all sent it back and said, Alexis, I think it's great, but they were my friends. So imposter syndrome creeped in again, which was, did they actually read it? Or did they just say it was good because they're my friend? And I was like, I want to get started, but I want to know, because when I come out the gate, I want to come out confident. So that's when I first submitted it to NASM and AFA, and I wholeheartedly thought that it was going to get rejected. I would try to contact somebody, see why it was rejected, then I would fix it. But it got accepted on the first try. And I said, we ready. And it just comes down to, like I said, asking the right questions, figuring out what I'm feeling. So it's very in tune with what you're feeling and what's holding you back. So in that case, is this good? Well, if that's your question, find out if it's good. Get this verified.
Yeah.
Okay.
Love it.
And then if it's
Validate it, right?
yeah, like
Validate
if you
it.
need
So
validation, go
good.
get it. And then it's just with so many different things. Like I know one time I had to do a speech, and I was the youngest one there. Okay, speaking to people in the industry who were already in it longer than me, and so I was like, things we say to ourselves: are you knowledgeable enough? Are they going to be able to learn from you? Are you going to look like an idiot if you mispronounce something? Right? All those things. And so I said, okay, what could I do to calm myself? What could I do to get myself confident? And that's when I said, go learn your material a little bit more. Matter of fact, just to double check, type in the dictionary and hit pronunciation. If you are concerned about it, then figure it out. And so those are some of the things I do just to keep pushing. I just acknowledge what's holding me back. And sometimes it's your own thoughts, your own head. And you have to really develop that other part of the brain that always talks back positive. So whenever you're like, I don't know if I should open a studio. Well, maybe you should. What's holding you back? What are the pros? What are the cons? And always, my friends know this one. Let's talk it through. That's my thing. Let's talk it through. Let's talk it through. What happens if you do it? What happens if you don't do it? If you do
get out of your head.
Yeah. And so it's just like, get it out, talk it out. And I think that's the main thing, and then I think the belief system that you are truly, fully capable of anything if you put your mind to it. I really do. I feel like we're all designed by God. He's a powerful, powerful thing. So once you know that, then you just kind of step out the box a little bit more. And then sometimes if you remember like the purpose, sometimes, we talk to a lot of business entrepreneurs, fitness industry, studio owners, gym owners. I think sometimes when you want to quit or when you want to just tap out, I think when you remember the people that you're positively affecting, because health and wellness is medicine. And when you realize you have the power to affect somebody's life, their physical health and their mental health, that's what you can tap into to keep going when you're like, I don't know.
I love it. I love it. You unpacked a lot for us right there. That's so good. I mean, goodness gracious. I mean, the imposter syndrome, and I never heard it where, hey, validate. You're thinking this, know yourself and go ahead and say, hey, share that with somebody and say, hey, does this look good to you? Yeah, no, it's fantastic. And it's like, okay, good. Then we'll move forward and let's go. Like I remember when I was starting the podcast, and some, I've always thought about it, and I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not ready. But people were like, yeah, you should do it. It's great. You sound great. I'm like, oh, okay, great. Let me give it a shot. And I love it. It gives me energy. It's so good to meet with people like you and just to connect and really share the light out there. So I also believe in God. And so, yeah, no, it's so good. I appreciate it. Thanks, Alexis.
Well, I think even with your podcast, like you said, like when you got started, I think the other thing is giving yourself a certain amount of time before you quit. I remember I was doing a podcast once, and it was not stopped because of me. It was because they had lost a budget or whatever. But so when I first started doing it, I kept getting, I made some mistakes, like maybe saying too much, or you know what I mean? Those filler words. Or there, I just did it again. And but even when you're interviewing people, wondering, am I good enough? Are people going to like this? And then I would get off the podcast and I would feel everybody thought I did great, but I would be tearing myself apart. And it was to the point where I didn't even know if I wanted to log back on, getting used to the sound of your voice, everything like that. And then there was one day that I wanted to quit. And I said, no, you will do this for at least 6 months. You will not quit on yourself. You will give yourself the time to get polished. By the time the show ended, I was missing it. I was like, what do you mean? And so I think that when you give yourself a time frame. I remember even when I was in college, fun fact, I used to be a bartender. So it cost X amount of hundreds of dollars to become a bartender, like a mixologist, right?
Sure.
And I said, what if you don't like it? I said, you cannot quit being a bartender until you've made back what you spent on it. And then once you make back what you spent, you can do what you want to do. And then after that, I was making good money in college as a bartender, so it worked.
Yeah.
So I think giving yourself a time frame so that you don't quit prematurely on yourself, because a lot of times people quit when they get uncomfortable. So I think giving yourself a time frame instead of just saying, I'm going to stop if I don't like it. You got to give yourself time to like it.
This is actually it. This is perfect. So what you're saying right there, Alexis, is that not being afraid to mess up. That's huge. If we only think about that, like, hey, I'm just going to give my best. My standard is this, and if I mess up, oh well. I'm going to reiterate and I'm going to make things better. And I just love that a part of your belief system that's like, it's okay, but I'm going to go push forward as best I can. Did I catch that? Did I pick up what you put down there?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's definitely true. And because I always feel like the mistake is something to learn from, and I had to stop beating myself up about it. And sometimes others may not show you grace if you make a mistake, and that's okay. They just might not be for you. Um, Luckily, I have developed a team of people where we can usually be very open with each other and say, you know what, I don't think your verbiage on that email campaign that was actually read wrong. Like one time we put out an email campaign and it was just like age question mark achy arthritis question mark stopping you from working out, not anymore. And it said not anymore, but nobody read the not anymore. So when I got the flack from it, it was, you're doing ageism and abilityism. I said, wait, the end of the sentence said not anymore. Like, and I wanted to like look at them like, you idiot. That's what you want to say. But then you're like, okay, wait a minute. If they didn't read it, that means others didn't read it.
Right.
And if they were offended by it, potentially others would be offended by it. That means that I can learn from this. So if I want to talk to my aging seniors, if I want to talk to my people with arthritis, if I want to talk to my people who have amputations, let me reverse that sentence. These things won't stop you anymore.
Right.
Out the gate.
Boom.
And then like arthritis, this and that. And so I was bothered. Like, what do you mean you coming at me because you didn't read? You know, that's what you want to say. But I was like, okay, technically it was a mistake, or technically not even a mistake, something that could have been done better. And I just had to take the lesson from it instead of the emotion with it. Just take the lesson.
A learning lesson. I like to call it learning lesson. These are learning lessons. Mistakes are learning lessons, guys. Really. Oh, so good.
It hurts. You got to get used to it. You just got to get
used to
it.
Of course it hurts. It hurts. And then you have to push forward. You know, one of the books that we like around here is The Obstacle is the Way. And the obstacle comes at you and it's like, oh, is a wall, and am I going to go through it, above it, around it? How do I do this? How do I go around it? So, you know, it's like you mentioned earlier about giving up. And that's like, no, push through it. I love it. Pushing through mistakes. So important. So mistakes happen, and there's obstacles, like I just mentioned. There's challenges in our life. In your business, can you share with us how you were able to overcome an obstacle? Maybe even in one of your, when you have your gym. You told me a story about your gym. That was a pretty interesting obstacle right there. If you want to share that, whatever you want to, honestly. Goal is a beautiful word to hear when you're scoring on the soccer field. This last World Cup was won by Argentina because of one important player. Yeah, you got it. It was the goalie. He secured the win for the team, and in the same way, ReviewBiz platform will catch negative reviews before they go online. In addition, it helps you score and promote fresh new reviews so you can crush the competition. So don't let those big box gyms take your clients. ReviewBiz will help you build your online presence and turn your own members into your best sales reps. Get your first 5 reviews for only $1. All you got to do is go to reviewbiz.io /try to get started.
Which one? There's so many. Um, let's see here. Well, I'll say with the gym, when I had a fitness studio, and I started off as, I just took the studio over. It was random. I was an instructor there. They were selling it, and they came to me and said, "Hey, we're selling the studio. You got to find somewhere else to teach." And me being a weirdo was like, "Oh, well, who takes the building?" They're like, "Goes back to the property owner." I said, "I'll take it." They're like, "You?" I was like, "Yeah, why not?" I didn't know what I was getting into. I just knew that I had wanted to go deeper into entrepreneurship. So then the property owner called me. He's never met me because, remember, the other people were the owners. And he gets me on the phone and he boldly says, "The reason why they're not owning the studio anymore is because they have not paid rent in 3 months. And if they weren't successful, what makes you think you're going to be successful?" Just bold question he asked. And I said,
Wow.
because out of all the classes that they had at the studio, I was the most successful. And I'm going to take that same principles that I had for that class and turn it into the whole thing. So instantaneously owner. All right. That's when you have to develop staff, team members. The one thing I wasn't good at the time was that direct communication from boss to your team. And then I had to learn communication skills. While I was learning those communication skills, I literally don't have time to pick up a book and read. So I downloaded everything on Audible. And while I was driving, while I was working out, I was listening to John C. Maxwell, the art of the laws of this, the laws of that. And I was reading other books, The Science of Likability, How to Manage the Team management, personality management. And just to help me out, I hired a manager because she was good with people. And she knew that no matter what I said, she wouldn't take offense to it. So that was the middleman. And that was great because it helped the relationships with all of us to where they felt more comfortable talking to her. I could just be straight shooter, not have to sugarcoat everything like you have to do with your teams. So it was learning how to talk to people and also getting a person in place to assist with that. But the whole brick and mortar life is crazy in general. I think the one thing I tell all fitness owners, just because I had no idea, nobody told me this, and that was, I owned it because I wanted to be the boss of a fitness studio. But when you are a solopreneur, you walk into, "Hey, Alexis, we're out of toilet paper. Alexis, there was a spider. You have to call the exterminator. Alexis, the AC isn't working. You have to get the HVAC repaired," all the way down to the worst story ever, where I got a phone call from one of my instructors. I'm not even at the studio this day. They're freaking out. And I'm like, "What is going on?" He was like, "Oh my God, you won't believe it." I was like, "What happened?" "Maggots fell out of the ceiling." I said, "What?
Oh no.
What?" And then, so I was like, I told my husband, he was like, "I'm going to go see what's happening." A rat had gotten into the ceiling that had died and decomposed. And in the middle of class, maggots start to fall onto a student. Nobody told me about this when you were going to own a studio. Nobody said you have to have exterminators and that anything could happen at any given point in time, all the way down to simple stuff. And I'll be bold. If you have women in your studio, oh, God forbid the day that somebody's having their menstrual cycle and they don't wipe it off the toilet seat. I did not sign up for this.
Oh man.
So I think, like, so the reason why I say it so boldly is because I feel like if you're prepared, then you won't be caught off guard like I was. Like,
Right.
I'm going to have to hire somebody to come in and clean. Maybe I should be proactive and get an exterminator at quarterly, you know? And also being ready for anything at any given moment. Like you have to be ready to move. You have to be just very nimble. You have to be open-minded and nimble because granted, everybody loved our studio. I loved our studio. It was a happy, happy, happy place. I didn't even close it till 2019. But the stories of the things as the owner,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
wild.
You closed at the right time. I remember that part of your story. Like you sold it at the right time.
I
You didn't have to worry
did.
about
And
it before on that 2020 glorious
yep,
days.
that
And
was just
so
God right there too. Like literally, when everybody said, "Why are you closing studio?" I was like, I just feel like it's time. I couldn't explain the feeling, but I was like,
yeah.
I just feel in my heart, in my bones that it's time. And then luckily, like literally 6 months later, COVID hit.
Wow. Yeah.
I
And
was
you
done.
guys just catch what Alexis said earlier. She had the right person. She had somebody in the middle, right? If you're managing every one of your team members, then it's gonna rub people the wrong way because you're gonna be very strong passionate about your business. And so if you have somebody in the middle, it's always great to do that. So I love that. That's how you overcame the obstacles, the challenges of owning a gym. So thank you so much for that. That was clear. That was so good. So issues happen, and fitness industry is not clear from it, right? So what is one of the biggest issues you see the fitness industry has right now? And how, what would you like to for it to overcome? Like what do you think needs to be done so it's not an issue anymore? Like I'm giving you a magic wand, Alexis, and you wave it and you boom, done, changed. What is that?
You know, just the climate of the world and different personalities is so different right now. So I think what it might boil down to is being confident in your authenticity, meaning who are you and what do you want to do? For example, a lot of times people are so caught up in diversification to where all the waters are muddied across. Now, I know I'm diverse, but actually, I work with people who have complications standing, which means that if you're running marathons, you're probably not my client or my customer right
Right.
now. Maybe if you want to be an instructor, you are, but you're not my end user. And I think when you get authentic with the people who you want to work with and you want to care for, that's when everything steps up. For example, when I first started teaching group exercise, I was much younger. Okay. And my instructor at the time was much older than me. I was probably like 20 something, and she was probably closer to 60. And she was the cutest Southern blonde haired, blue eyeliner wearing white lady. And she would say, "Come on, girl, shake it." And we were at a YMCA, and her class was packed, and I was just one of her happy students. I went in there and I had a great time. She could have told me to do anything and I would have. Like when we had our first parade and all of us got to wear Zumba t-shirts, I said, "Oh, I'm wearing the gear. I love this." So then it was time for me to get certified, and I thought to myself, well, if she's like 50 something and older, if she has 60 students, of course I can blow this out the park. I mean, I got the stamina, I got the moves. Whoo, was I wrong? So the first thing, she had me come in and teach one of her classes while she got to just observe. And three people walked out immediately. I was doing the same routines that she was doing. Yet they didn't like me.
Huh.
They
Yeah.
had this thing where it was like, no, she's moving too fast. It's the same routine. So then after class, she had the students stay and critique me, and it was polar opposite. I loved it. I thought it was too fast. I thought it was too slow. I liked this routine. I couldn't stand that routine. And I'm sitting here with these polar opposite thoughts coming at me. And being that I was a little bit younger and I was in tip top shape at the time, clear throat, I ended up teaching at One Life Fitness, which is our big box gym. That's the stereotypical gym where you got like meatheads and the sexy ladies and the little shorts coming in there every week. That was the One Life, like almost like a LA Fitness, kind of like that.
Yeah.
I thrived there because I fit the demographic. When I was at the YMCA, she thrived because she was relatable. Meaning, if this 50 something year old woman can do it, I can too. She motivated them without saying a word. I didn't have that look to give that kind of motivation. So therefore, for me, I had to go to where fit bodies were, where the student's lens is different. It's not like if she can do it, I can do it. It was like, if she looks like that and I want a body like that, let me go take that class because
Right.
we fit up in here. And they took a lot of pride and jumping up and doing all the things. Almost like when you think about CrossFit, they take a lot of
Right.
pride where they take, oh man, let them do that crazy box jump thing. They're pride driven. So I think that when you understand your audience without any shame, like just know who your people are. Some people are going to be motivated differently. Find your lane and embrace the people who are there, you know? And I know a lot of people think it's bad that like this one gym had like a criteria. They wanted their fitness instructors to look fit. Other people's were like, we want them to look relatable. And it's just kind of, where's my tribe? Find your people, find your purpose, find your why, find whose life you can enhance and connect with, and not sticking into one box. And I would say, I can't wave a wand on the world, but I just think acceptance for people wherever they are. There's no shame
Got
in
it.
being super fit.
Okay.
There's no shame in being on your way to being fit.
Yeah.
There's no shame in not starting yet.
Yeah.
You know?
Got it. Okay. I was like, I'm trying to well, where's the issue? I'm not seeing the issue. And you got it. You hit it right there at the end. And it's like acceptance. If the fitness industry can just accept people where they are, hey, listen, you're here. Where do you want to go? There, 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 there. Okay, great. This is the path. Let's go. Move forward and don't stop. Don't stop. You're gonna if you get hurt, don't stop. Don't stop. Keep moving. I have my massage therapist says, motion is lotion. For your joints and everything. Rest is rust, and that's what he says. And that's like you got to keep moving. You got to keep moving, and that's so
Yeah.
important.
And it's
Like
even
I'm
more
actually
important as we age as well.
right. Was that?
As we age, movement is even more important. More so now, like it's funny because when I talk about when I was in my 20s at the big box gym, my
Yeah.
motivation and my style has totally changed. It used to be to work out to look good, and now it's I work out to feel good.
Right.
It's like a big difference.
It's a big difference.
It's a big
So the
difference.
evolution, I think, of everybody that's
Yeah.
starting to work
Hmm.
out. Exactly. So good. So good. So let me ask you this. In your journey, your there's things that helped you grow and there's things that didn't help you grow. What would be something that you would say, hey, I wish I would have done this sooner so I could grow this piece, this strategy helped me grow? Or hey, this thing, if I would have just removed it and gotten out of the way, it would have catapulted my growth. Either or, you can answer however you like, but just what would have been something you would have done sooner or removed sooner from your life?
Uh, for me, um, well, the one thing I would say is being the owner of a gym, or right now being like the founder of Chairone Fitness, never forgetting to remember that your community people are people. Sometimes as like the boss, we get caught up in the business and then we forget to check on all the people. Like you're like, I gotta run the business here. I'll worry about that later. And I think that remembering to check in with your team members, remembering your team members' birthdays, remembering to let your students and clients feel seen and heard. And I know sometimes when you are running everything, you have a sense of entitlement. Like, well, I don't have to check in. They should understand that I'm busy. They should understand the stress that I'm under. They don't need me. I got to handle these finances over here. They can wait because you are so caught up in keeping everything together. But honestly, I feel like I wish I would have put the people first sooner.
Mm,
And I do now. And I'll tell you, because we talked about it with like the manager situation, if you don't have the capacity to take care of people, assign somebody on your team to do so, which is what I needed help. So therefore, I got one of my team members to be that kind of community ringleader. And she checks in with everybody. Everybody all right? Everybody all right?
yep.
Okay,
Yep.
cool, cool.
HR, human resources,
Yeah.
the
And when you're
people,
smaller, you're not going to have that, a
yeah,
whole department, but you could have a person,
a person.
or
Yeah.
even if it's something that you put on your calendar. Like I literally have twice a month. I know it's going to sound so lame and I don't know what's going to happen to my friends who hear this, but I literally have like twice a month on my calendar that says check on friends
Yeah.
because I'll forget.
Right.
I'm like,
Now, the question, do you have check on friends and you have the list of your friends that you need to
yes,
check off so you can check off? Yeah, there you go. Perfect. Like, you don't even have to think
yes,
about it. Like, oh,
yes.
which friends am I checking out? No, it's right there. Okay, cool, cool, cool. All right, done.
And so that would be the
Checked.
thing as far as
Love it.
good things. And this one is not for everybody, but when people have a product or a service that's on a local scale, that's cool. But if you're able to do anything virtually, that opens you up to the world. And that's how Chairone Fitness has been able to succeed, is because we went from going from city to city to going virtual. And that took us literally over, like, we're 48 states and 9 countries. And that was because we went virtual. It
Yeah,
does come with other hurdles, but it's really nice to know that you're making an impact to other people around the world too.
yeah. That's so good. I love it. Like bringing in that person to help you connect with your team members a lot better is huge. Is huge. I love it. I love it because that the culture that you have for your business, because the culture that you build for your business is also the culture that you're going to have for your customers, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's everyone's like great place to work at, awesome. They're going to exude it to the customer. So I love it. All right, so we have arrived at the Fast Five right now. Is where I ask you 5 questions and you just answer them and we go next. Answer next. All right. Ready? Let's go. Who is an influential person or people in your business journey?
Oh God. Tim Ferriss.
God, there you go. Don't just go. No. Go. No. You can answer something.
Well, Tim Ferriss, author of the 4 Hour Work Week. It just
Oh
talks
yeah.
about, yeah, that's my dude. His principles can be applied to all businesses, but it's basically like, I'm not waiting till 65 to enjoy my life. How can I run my business and enjoy my life at the same time?
Love Tim Ferriss. Love Tim Ferriss. Actually, interesting fact. His birthday is the same day as mine, and I
Oh,
don't mean same birthday, birth year. Like we were born on the same day.
really?
Yeah.
That's so
Yeah.
cool.
It's cool. It's cool. What's one thing you wish you had known when you began your business?
Honestly, not to get all like biblical, but
You can. It's all
if
good.
you have, I would say to trust God for giving you the desire in your heart. And
Mm.
then when hurdles come, don't freak out and get scared because you're going to figure it out. If you're having high moments of anxiety, then that means you're not trusting God enough with the desire you put in your heart. Trust a little more, stress a little
Mm.
less. It's going to be okay. I promise you it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So good. Woo! She's coming in hot, guys. Coming in hot. Love it. Next one is what's a book, blog, podcast, or media you've recently consumed that has positively impacted you?
The most recent book that I completed was Small Business Flight Plan.
Okay.
That's the one I most recently finished, and it's very, very good. It was recommended to me from one of my friends who is also an entrepreneur and a lawyer and used to be a pastor. And he saw me at Starbucks and said, "Hey Alexis, I've been reading this book. You need to check it out." And I was like, "What is it?" And it is the Small Business Flight Plan. I just finished it, and the only reason why I have not read another book is because I said before I read another book, I'm going to take notes on this one. And I just want to, matter of fact, it's called How to Grow Your Small Business, but it's Small Business Flight Plan. Oh, this is audible.
Starting.
How to Grow Your Small Business by Donald Miller. Donald
Oh,
Miller.
yeah. Donald
How
Miller's
to
a great
Grow Your
dude.
Small Business, and he goes over the small business flight plan. That's the whole lineup of the book. Like, what's your engine? What's your wing? It's very nice
Yeah.
metaphor.
Another good book is Story Brand by Donald
Story
Miller,
brand.
which is, yeah, great.
Oh, he
Donald
talks
Miller's
about
fan.
that in his book.
Yeah. It's good. I love it. All right. Next question. Do you have a favorite online tool?
No, I hate online.
Yeah.
No. I would say if there is a favorite online tool that I have, being that I started off a business as a single mom and I
Uh-huh.
literally had to be a baller on a budget. If I had to choose anything, I'm going to choose the stuff that makes resources available to entrepreneurs at a low cost to get started. So if it's Canva for basic graphic design work,
Yes.
if it's Fiverr, if you need to hire somebody for $10 to get started. So it's not like they're even like, oh my God, the best programs, but they are good programs to get started because when you're starting your business, you don't have all the revenue up front. And I love when people get started because, like I said, as a single mom, starting a business, I needed those simple resources.
Oh yeah. Canva is fire. Like serious. Like
Yeah.
for like less than $10, you get 5 users. Like, come on. That's
Yes.
wild. That's wild. And all the things it does. Oh, come on. I
Yeah.
I,
It's
I
very, very
agree. I double down on that. Double click. All right. Last fast five question is what's one habit or practice that you believe everybody would benefit from?
one habit or practice. Just so many. Well, I pray. That's the first one.
Pray.
Pray,
We got to
pray.
pray just to make it today. Come on.
Yeah,
Because we pray.
pray. I would also I would say prayer is the foundation, but I would say don't trust your brain. Write it down. If you got something to do, write it down. Write it down
Yeah.
because I know some people already know this and others don't. Many of us try to remember,
Yeah.
and that's draining your brain battery pack. And so it's like, remember. I got to walk the dog today. I got to walk the dog today. And you're holding on to it. It's taking up space. And
Yeah.
so if you write it down, you can now clear that space and focus. I always equate it to my phone with all of the, it drains your battery when you have all your apps.
Right.
When it's
Yeah,
time to
the
clear your
RAM. It
apps.
takes up the RAM. It's the random
Yeah.
access memory, and if you clear your RAM, then you're great. You can function really easily.
So
Yes, I love it.
take out, clear it, and that's just by writing it down, getting it off of your head onto paper. That would probably be my thing. So pray about it, seek guidance, and then write it down. Clear your
Write it down.
head. It's
I'm gonna double click on this because I actually in college I took a microprocessing course. I was a computer science engineer, and there we took microprocessing, and the professor told us that his cousin memorized the dictionary, and later on he had like a brain aneurysm, and it's like it's not meant for that. Your brain is not meant to store so much memory. It's meant to process yes, no, good, bad, friend, foe. That's the type of stuff that it's made for. So, you know, I agree 100% that you should write it down and pray, right? Release it to God. Let him take it
yes.
from you.
There's
And
a
so
book
I love it.
also. I forget which one it is because I've listened to so many. I think it was. I don't know if it was by the Mawasaki guy or not. But either way, he was talking about when there was a reference to there was this guy on a trivia show or Jeopardy, and he was
Uh-huh.
getting
Yeah.
everything right. And then in this audiobook, the guy who's watching the TV is talking to like his son or something, and he says, "How useful would a guy like that be in your business?" And then he was just like, well, I think he'd be very useful. He was like, nope, I would never hire him. He was like, but he just like won Jeopardy. He was just like everything he just regurgitated. I could just Google it. Why I don't need somebody who can just memorize information. I need somebody who can think. And that's what he said.
Oh
So
yeah.
I love that
So
reference.
true. So true. I would, those are A players that are able to take a project and run with it and think and make it grow, right?
Yeah.
So I love it. That's it. That's fast five. Well, I do have one last question. It's one
Okay.
of my favorites. So Alexis, I also not only do I have a magic wand, but I also have a time machine. So time machine, we're gonna go back in time and we're gonna visit 16-year-old Alexis.
Mm-hmm.
What is a piece of advice that you would give 16-year-old Alexis?
Um, let's see here. For 16-year-old Alexis, I would say, oh, I got it. Um, to enjoy the moments and the successes. I know we've all know, you might be this kind of person, and if you are, then when I say this, you're going to be like, "Oh my God, I know what you mean." You know, when you accomplish one thing, you don't even bask in the glory of it. You're already on to the next thing, and you're not actually living in the moment. And then when you look at all the things that you've done, the fun times that you've had, the people you got to meet, it all feels like a blur because you weren't present. You know, like so for me being 16, I was always so get it done, get it done, get it done, get it done. I got to do this. I got to figure it out. I got to work hard. I can't enjoy anything. I'm busy. I'm focused. I'm motivated. And I wish that I would have given myself enough grace to experience the joy and to take some of the pressure off. Once again, it's going to be okay. It's been a fun ride getting here, but sometimes I wish I hadn't had so much stress along the way. That was all self-induced, by the way. It was like, and so yes, I would say enjoy the moments that lead to the successes more. Enjoy the process more because even when I think about when I hosted the Love Fest, which was like the largest dance fitness event in Virginia, and when I think back, being on the stage was fun, right? The big day. But all the practices that led up to it, all the rehearsals, all of the dinners, all of the conversations, that's where the fun was happening. And I think that enjoying the journey of wherever, don't forget to enjoy the process because the joy and success only last a minute, but the joy in the process is what lasts a
Oof,
lifetime. That's probably what
love
I would
that.
say.
Boom. Bringing it home. Alexis, thank you so much for joining us here. This has been a really good interview, and I know everybody's going to love it. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Man, that was such a fun episode. I really enjoyed what Alexis said about being okay with mistakes by pushing through them. What was your favorite takeaway from the episode? I want you to connect and share a message with me on Instagram with the tag Meet Esco. I would love to hear your thoughts. And I want to thank you so much for taking the time to listen to the episode today. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the show on the platform you're currently listening on. And remember to leave us a rating and review so we can improve the show for you guys. The feedback helps us so much. It would also mean the world to us. Also, check out this content on YouTube and get a lot more strategies, ways to improve your sales and marketing, and of course, social proof. So, as always, I want to thank you so much for the encouragement. I truly appreciate you listening to the podcast and helping us improve with your comments. And I'll be seeing you next time in the growth zone.